Yes, my physical reality is feedback, but I need to develop the skill of being able to decipher what is alive within me, what are the stories that I'm telling myself that are being reflected back to me in my physical reality, right? There's a time when I use that skill. After I have identified my limiting stories and beliefs, I then go to work telling the new story. As long as I'm telling the new story, I get to disassociate from what I'm seeing in my physical reality until the new story manifests in my physical reality. What I mean to say is, it's only something that needs to be, it's only a belief that needs to be worked through as long as I still need to work through it. So, for an example, if in my business I want to manifest clients, I get somebody who wants to come and work with me. They say they don't have the money to work with me. In that scenario, and this is not a blanket statement, this is specific to me and specific to this example. In that scenario, I come into the awareness of the fact that, oh, I have the belief that people can't afford to work with me. Once I come into an awareness of the belief that people can't afford to work with me, I then do the internal work of working through and releasing that belief that people can't afford to work with me. Once I release the belief that people can't afford to work with me, then I start telling the new story. People are ready, willing, and eager to work with me. Let's say that's the story I'm choosing to tell. Then it's my job to say the new story. People are ready, willing, and eager to work with me until it is manifested in my physical reality that people are ready, willing, and eager to work with me. Now, let's say 5 days goes by and I get another, let's say I'm like on a call with somebody. We're going to see if we're going to work together one-on-one in coaching. And that person tells me that they can't afford it. How do I respond in that scenario? Do I respond by going, people can't afford to work with me. Why, God, do you keep sending me people that can't afford to work with me? If that's how I respond, if I have a whole downward spiral moment, then okay, my reality is reflecting something back to me. I still got to work on this some more. However, if I, in that moment, am like, okay, this person, they're not ready to work with me, that's okay. People are ready, willing, and eager to pay me. People are ready, willing, and eager to work with me. If I can, in that moment, step back into the energy of my truth, tap back into the vibration of my desire, do whatever I need to do, use whatever tools I have to tap back into the vibration of people are ready, willing, and eager to pay me. And then I can go about my day and then I can let it go and know it's okay that that wasn't the client. It's okay that that wasn't the customer for me. That's just residual energy. People are ready, willing, and eager to pay me. And then I can go about my day doing whatever it is else that I need to do. My ability to continue to do that, that's me being a vibrational match. That's me creating the reality where, before you know it, there are people ready, willing, and eager to pay me showing up in my physical reality. So this is where some of us get caught up. We are really good at identifying what story is being reflected back to me in my physical reality. But we can get caught up in that. We can get caught up reaffirming our limiting beliefs and old stories because we keep focusing on our reality and we're not willing to accept that we are creating a new belief. We're not willing to accept a new reality until the reality has manifested. Are you understanding what I'm saying? What you're recognizing, the shift that you need, is that you are commanding your reality. I am commanding my reality. I'm not trying a whole bunch of things, and then when I finally do the thing that works, we're not proving ourselves. We're not trying a whole bunch of things, and then when I finally do the thing that works, I'll know that I've done the thing that works because I'll get the result I want. When I'm finally a good girl, then I'll get the result that I want. When I've proved myself enough, when I've worked hard enough, when I've struggled enough, then I'll get the result that I want. Do you hear that train? That's not what we're doing. That's not your relationship with your reality. That's not your relationship with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind isn't running you. Your reality, your subconscious mind, your feelings, these are communicating things to you. You're on the journey of learning to consciously co-create your reality. You are learning to command reality. You are learning to be a figure of authority in your life. So yes, we want to be able to, in that moment, identify, I'm freaking out. This guy ghosted me. The story that I'm telling about this guy ghosting me is that men don't prioritize me. Men don't care about me. Men don't prioritize meeting my needs. I work through that, release that. What's my new story? My new story is that men prioritize me. Men love me. I am deeply and completely loved, supported, honored, and prioritized by men. Do whatever I need to do to tap into that vibration. And then you go on the next date with the next guy. And if that guy ghosts you, I'm not saying you don't feel your feelings. You do the processing thing. You do the feeling the feelings and emotions thing. But in that moment, based on what you're experiencing in your physical reality, are you going, I'm still telling that old story that guys don't support me. What's wrong with me? If I was telling a different story, I would have a different result. Is that what you're doing? Is that the experience you're having? Because that's what's getting you a little bit. In that moment, can you process the feelings? Can you recognize, okay, that's a little bit of that old residual energy. That's not my truth. Because we've already worked through those stories, right? So then can we come and say that new story? And the new story is what? The new story is that I'm loved and honored and accepted and prioritized by men. And it's that knowing that I create my reality, knowing that I impact my subconscious mind, knowing that it must manifest. It didn't manifest with that guy. That sucks. He was hot. We would have had the cutest kids. I was going to be his Giselle. I can't pronounce her last name. Can you have that moment and then tell that new story in that moment? Or not in that moment, but can you tell that new story as after you've done that processing and all of that? And then there are going to be times where you have the experience where, let's say the guy ghosts you or the relationship falls through, and it turns out that the story being reflected to you is not the story that you're not going to be prioritized by men, but let's say that the story that's reflected back to you is, let's say that a guy ghosts you and then you keep trying to get the relationship with him to work. And when you finally give up on trying to get the relationship with him to work, you realize I didn't even like that guy. And in that moment, as you're doing that work, you're realizing, oh my goodness, the story that's being reflected back to me is that there's a lack of men, that I have to work hard to be loved by men, that relationships aren't I'm making this up as I go along, so give me a little bit of grace, you guys. What would this be? Like let's say you're doing intergenerational work. No, I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get too deep on this, because this is going to be free in public. You just come into an awareness of the fact that you have this belief that compatibility isn't important in relationships. You have this belief that having somebody is more important than having somebody who understands you, right? I talk about this in one of my rampages that's also free and available to the public. I'll have it linked down below. And if you're watching this within the course, you will have access to this video, that rampage. But anyway, so you come into awareness of the fact of like, oh, wait a second. I need love and connection. And I've been telling myself the story that I'm not going to get my emotional needs met. So I've been emotionally neglecting myself, trying to get love and connection at all costs. You're like, whoa. I basically have been trying to focus on being chosen, and I haven't been taking into account whether or not I want the people who I'm dating, whether or not I like them. I like their personality. I like the way they're treating me. Let's say you like the guy's personality, but you don't like how he treats you. You're realizing, oh, compatibility is a little bit bigger than just we can tell jokes with each other. How a man tends to me emotionally and psychologically, how he responds to me, how he nurtures me, that all factors in to compatibility. I've been telling myself the story that it's acceptable for me to be emotionally neglected in love relationships. And that's what was being reflected back to me in my reality. And so then you work through that. What's your new story? My new story is I attract men who are compatible with me mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually, and whatever the hell else you could possibly think of. I attract men that I'm compatible with in every aspect of life. And then you're doing whatever you need to do to tap into that vibration. You're doing whatever you need to do to solidify that belief. So just because something is being reflected back to us in our reality, just because it looks like it's the same old, it's not always the same old. Are you guys understanding me? We covered a couple different things here. It gets a little bit complex. So just quick summary. I need to be able to identify what stories I'm telling myself as reflected back to me in my reality. Once I've already done the work to identify a limiting belief, once I've done the work to identify a not so great story, and I have shifted that story, then it is my job to tap into the energy and vibration of the new story and to maintain that and hold that, commanding my reality and commanding my subconscious as I tap into that vibration, habitually create those new patterns. Are you feeling me? The more that I tap into that vibration, create those patterns, that's when it's going to be reflected back to me in my reality. As I'm telling that new story and creating those new patterns, there may be some residual situations that pop up as things are changing and shifting. I am able to discern whether or not shadow work is necessary based on my own response to a particular situation based on my emotional response, based on whether or not I'm getting hung up. This is where that self-awareness factor comes in. And then there are times where I will have something that appears to be the same situation when really a different story is being reflected back to me. And when it's a different situation and a different story, I'm just going to repeat and start that over again. Identify the limiting story, do that work to release it. What's the new belief? Tap into the vibration of the new belief, so on and so forth. Okay? This was really, really good. This is going to be exclusively a part of the course one day. So if I were you, I would repeat this. I would save this because sometimes I just make the videos unlisted. Sometimes I make them private, but usually they go unlisted. So I would save this. I would listen to this a whole bunch of times. And if you do not know how to identify the limiting stories, if you don't know how to identify how you feel, if you don't know how to work through the limiting beliefs, if you don't know how to tap into the vibration of your desire, if you don't know how to deal with the resistance, then you want my course. It's called the Elevate into a New Circumstance course. It will absolutely change your life and support you in learning to trust yourself, learning to connect with your inner being, learning to love yourself, strengthening and establishing a greater sense of self-worth. And it will support you in learning and understanding how to boldly and confidently co-create your reality with the divine. I love you so much. My name is Nathallie Hughes. I am a luxury-obsessed empowerment mindset coach for women. For those of you that don't know, I didn't give an introduction here. I love you so, so, so much. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.